Well, gentlemen, by the time anyone listens to this episode, we will be on our way to Hollywood for a very magical event. So without spoiling the reason we're going out there, what are you most excited to do on this very short trip, Sam?
Well, since we can't say why we're going yet, I'd have to say I'm most excited to eat some In-N-Out.
Of course. Yeah, you guys like that.
So good.
It's an overrated burger, but that's
no,
okay.
It is not. You take that back.
But it's a treat. Hey, it's fun. All right, it's fun. What about you, BB Nate?
I love flying, so I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be fun.
It's not going to be a cross-Atlantic, transatlantic flight like you've done before, but this will be
Still
okay.
fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I don't really like flying, so we'll differ on that.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not that I'm scared of flying. I just
don't like
to get on airplanes. But anyway, I think I'd say I'm most excited that your mom has been invited to participate with us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Doesn't get to do that very often.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's fun.
It's going to be a blast. But before we can leave, we need to talk about that season finale of Andor, the touching Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and what it's like to protect Gotham City after the death of the Batman. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to that.
Today, but there's like a major premiere happening this week on Disney Plus on Wednesday.
Yeah, there's Willow. That's
Willow the series. So
not to be confused with Willow the movie.
Well, Willow, it's the like follow up
series,
right?
But of the same name. It's a little confusing.
It's very magical,
but it is nice.
It's very magical. So
anyway,
maybe we'll talk about that next week on the show, or Friday on our anniversary episode.
Yeah,
might as well.
Totally
who knows?
Forgot that was happening.
Who knows what we're doing with that? Anyway, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer-director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson.
And the smash hit
Glass Onion and Knives Out mystery. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story that is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story, and that is why we talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and all of the other epic franchises you love so much, like Willow.
Like
Willow's an epic franchise. With it, I am David. I am the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hello, gentlemen. I am honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons. Sam, what are we talking about?
That holiday special was surprisingly fun.
And a lot of ties to the Star Wars holiday special, like little nods to it. Like James Gunn was like,
spots.
if I could do the Star Wars holiday special right, this is how it would have looked. With that,
great, yes.
What about you, BB Nate?
Batman dying didn't really hurt Gotham as much as I thought it would.
Ouch!
It's good.
That's good.
Yeah, I'll explain more.
Okay.
It's a stinger. Dad, what are you talking about?
Well, we can't talk the finale of Andor and not really look at Marva's final words.
Which took up like half of the entire episode.
It's fantastic. It's going to take up half of this entire episode. All right. But for all of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in, listening to the show. We hope you'll follow the show on all the social medias that are out there, and
including Hive, which is apparently the big thing now.
Probably a really important thing to be doing tonight if you're listening to this on the day that this episode comes out.
Yeah, we're going to be freaking out about the Avalanche game.
We're skipping the Avs game against the
Winnipeg Jets, which is
rival.
This is another huge game because we're tied with them right now in our division for second.
We're skipping it. For a magical moment in Hollywood on Tuesday evening. So if you are listening on Tuesday, follow our socials. Keep an eye on those, especially Hive. I'm going to probably put extra stuff on Hive just to kind of help ramp that up.
It'll be buzzing.
We're going to take over a hashtag, I think.
Slap you.
It'll be buzzing. That's true. With that. And then Friday, we're having our 5th anniversary special. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fireside. There's going to be a link in the show notes for you to have access to Fireside. It is invite only to get access to this application, and we've got
very exclusive.
We've got the link for you, and they've given us access to invite anybody we want to download and get an account on that. So make sure that you do that. You can be a part of a live virtual studio audience. It's going to be a video episode. We're going to have lots of different guests coming on. We've got.
So I can't wear PJs.
I mean, since it's just a few days after Willow. The series starts. We're going to talk about Willow on that, and maybe some other things associated with that magical show, and then potentially do some Willow trivia.
Some trivia, okay.
On that. We're going to have a couple of different Is It Canon segments on the show where our guests and you in the virtual studio audience can participate and come on stage. I've got some I dug into Wikipedia in preparation for this, and I found something really no, this one was very intentional.
All right.
So I've got a couple of those. We've got Star Wars trivia in there as well, and so we're going to have some fun.
Very cool.
With this. It's going to be great. Plus Luke Skywalker is going to come on, and he's going to talk a little bit about the toy drive that he's doing every year.
Cool.
And that's already well exceeded the goal, and so he asked us not to ask people to make donations.
So here we are, not asking.
We're not going to ask you to make donations, but I bet you if you did it, he'd be okay with it. So we'll talk about that on Friday night. He may have a special guest with him as well, which would be really cool because he's got an important child in his life as well. So we hope that he comes on, and then Cam Ray.
Yeah, that's gonna be
we love Cam. We buried the hatchet with Cam over the controversy that happened a couple of years ago with him, and he's going to come on. He's going to do a comedy skit for all of us that he has never once done. He's been preparing this,
really,
and
that's awesome.
And he's debuting it on the show for our 5th anniversary. Super excited about that. Make sure you check it out. But enough talking about what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about what we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, did I get it right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you did.
I always feel like I got it wrong. All right. Nate.
Gotham Knights was a great game with a really emotional story, but it did have its moments of frustration that could damper the experience of the story for some people, though. So let me go through and say why I loved this campaign.
Wow.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
Again, it's already in the.
Wasn't he mentioned in Eternals?
I think he was.
But that movie was very forgettable. So it's Batman's now
not very many
canon.
people saw it. So
Batman's canon in the MCU thanks to James Gunn.
I wonder if more people have watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special than went and watched Eternals.
I feel like that would be.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
It was better, but
okay.
But yeah, they were on the Milano and they're talking about like actors and double lives, and they talked about Batman and Bruce Wayne, and of course James Gunn threw that in because he's the president of DC Studio, co-president.
I wonder if he threw that in
Studios.
before that happened, though, because this has been
probably
in the can
threw it in
for a
during
while.
The
negotiations,
yeah, which
exactly.
would not surprise me. It definitely seems like something he would do. But for Gotham Knights, before I really dive into the themes and everything that were throughout the story, Sam, what do you think of the game itself? A scale of 1 to 10 missing batarangs that you have to go around the entire
not
city
as bad
to
as
find
Riddler
them.
trophies. No, it's a really solid game. I really enjoyed it just because that's one of the first campaigns I've finished in a while for video games. I haven't had a lot of time to do that. So actually being able to finish the story in a game felt nice.
Rewarding.
It did. It definitely had.
I'm still trying to finish Jedi Fallen Order.
It definitely had its moments where it was a little frustrating, but overall, it really wasn't too like grindy or frustrating or anything, and it was a fun story. I think the characters were really good. I only played Red Hood throughout the campaign because I thought he was the most compelling, but also he he had guns and he was fun to play.
He's violent.
He's cool.
He's non-lethal rounds.
They're non-lethal.
Okay.
All right. But no, it was really good. I think the actors nailed the characters. The story was great. I liked the world, the visuals, the gameplay. All of it was a really solid game.
So, Dad, out of the 30 minutes that you've played, no, but I enjoyed the game. I thought it was good. I'm excited for what's in the future for it with the heroic assault and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, with the Starro.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future of the game and hopefully the future of the series. I thought it was a fun game. It was good. It was what you expected. And honestly, it's good to say that DC had a good game again. Had a good year entirely. So, yeah. But Gotham Knights had a lot of themes through it in the entire story. But the main had to be that of sacrifice and building the path for the next generation. At the beginning of this game, Bruce makes a video telling the Gotham Knights what to do in the event of his death. We find out later that he made one for every single villain he ever fought.
Yeah, what was it? Quilt Master or something like that.
I don't
So
know.
he made a video like that. So whoever killed him,
for any contingency. Yeah.
Any contingency.
Which this is Batman. Are we really all that surprised?
Let's just say he is the most OCD hero in all of superheroes.
Sure. Yes, Dad, as a parent yourself, obviously, how do you feel about the idea of leading the next generation of your family into the next part?
It's just really an interesting question because you have no idea what the notes are for this show and for the Andor segment.
Oh, wow.
And the dad moment.
Hey,
with this. And so, it's really curious with this.
Don't spoil too much of the later segments.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying how interesting that is that the show's going to end on the same question that the show starts on, basically with it. No, I think that it's critical. And I think that you always think that there's going to be more time to share those messages and to have those conversations and to prepare your children for the future. And that's one of the things that's interesting about Bruce is it's interesting. He creates a video of things he wanted to say to his kids, basically.
Oh yeah,
the Gotham Knights.
They're his kids.
With it in the event of his death, and that's exactly what Marva does with Ferrex and Cassian and all of that. And so I think I'll have more to say about this later. Let's just go there.
Yes, you will. But it actually takes a while for the Knights to live up to the mantle of Batman or even work together. A lot of times they're at each other's throats, especially Dick and Jason. They don't like each other because that's Robin 1 and Robin 2. But they actually eventually get to a point where they work together and become better than Batman was for the entire city of Gotham because they were working together. So Sam, how did you feel they did with all the Knights and their relationships in this game?
I thought it was great. I'd be curious to go back. Honestly, this is one of the games where I would go back and play it again with a different character just to see how different things are. I probably would go with Nightwing or Tim Drake, honestly. But I think that they were interesting. Maybe Tim Drake and Barbara were a little lacking. That could just be because I was playing Jason and Jason and Dick have more beef, I guess, so that you would interact with them more.
They have more history,
right? But overall, I thought they were a great team. You definitely got the feeling of family with them, found family. There's these little cutscenes you can do in the Belfry that are just the different characters interacting with each other just on everyday little interactions, and it really helps to deepen the characters and how they interact with each other. So I loved it. I thought they did a really great job with all that.
Definitely, they did a good job. They understood what they were trying to do with this game, and they did it very well. But at the very end of the game, now
big spoilers,
full spoilers for the entire ending, because I can't really talk about this without spoiling it. So if you haven't finished the game, go finish the game. It's great, and then come back. Make sure to upgrade your suits, though. Unlike Sam, that made his life difficult for a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the ending, at the ending, Bruce comes back to life by the Lazarus Pit by Talia's hand. Eventually, you actually fight Bruce, but get through to him, and after a lot more fighting with Talia and the court, Bruce climbs into what remains of the bat plane and flies it into the Lazarus
This is after
pits.
he got mortally injured by Talia, though.
Yes.
He got stabbed through like the chest with a sword. Yeah.
So he flies and gets into the bat plane and flies into the Lazarus pit so no one can use it again, and now all that's gone, so Gotham's free of the court and all this stuff, because that's what you look confused at.
Okay, I'm just tracking. I'm just trying to track.
Okay. But before that, Bruce says to whoever you're playing at that moment, says, "You've become the hero I never could have been." And in his final moments, Bruce was proud of his kids, and he said that you guys working together is all I ever really wanted, and went into a whole big spiel about it. But Sam, how did you feel about this ending?
I thought it was good and bad at the same time. It was a great way to emotionally close things off and kind of give closure to the character you were playing, right? You know, it was kind of that final boost of, hey, you're doing good, keep it up. You know, you've done what I wanted. It kind of felt a little annoying, though, to just bring Bruce back just to kill him again. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being overly critical with it. It's not bad. I just think that's kind of a weird way to do it. Maybe they could have done some other way. But overall, I did like the ending. It was a little frustrating, though, the final fight.
You did spend a while on that.
I spent a long time on that fight. Maybe that was because I was about 5 levels under what they wanted me to be
You're welcome.
for that mission. But I ended up having to put it on the easiest difficulty. And it was easier then, but even on that difficulty, Dad, you would have had a tough time with it. It was a lot. But getting past that, it does help make the ending feel more satisfying and like emotional, because you're almost like exhausted by the time you get to it. But no, overall, I liked the ending, and it cements your character as the next
Knight.
Yeah,
because then
Knight.
you have your own video of Gotham City telling Gotham City, you know, we're not going to stand for this anymore. We're going to get rid of crime, all 4 of us together, all that stuff. It's
what did you think about the ending, Nate?
I thought it was good. I enjoy it. It's a very DC thing to do, to bring somebody back and then kill them off again. Just feels right with DC, because they bring back people and kill them off all the time just because it's DC. But it worked. It allowed the night that you were playing to just kind of say goodbye, kind of get that feeling of closure, and it was well done. And that sense of ending really shown through there, and then the sense of the new beginning that's coming from that, because you never really got that as even the player. You never felt that. You never felt like, okay, well, this is the new step for Gotham. You kind of were always like, well, where's Batman? When is he gonna come back? And now that they killed him off finally, you feel like, okay, well, they're the new protector of Gotham. So that really helped.
I like that analysis.
Yeah. Cool. Dad, would you ever watch a YouTube movie of all the cutscenes?
I've seen they're already out there.
Yeah, I know they're already out there. Now that you've heard of this, and
I think I'm curious to know the story. I kind of want to do the same thing with Fallen Order, just because I haven't finished it. And let's just be honest, I'm never going to finish these games. I don't have time. It's just not my thing. So I miss out on the stories because of that. And so I would definitely, but now that the story's been spoiled to me, maybe we'll wait 6 months and I'll forget what the spoiler was. And then we'll go forward.
Yeah, right. Do you even remember what we said about the ending of Fallen Order?
I have no clue what happened.
Yeah, you can watch that one next time. But Gotham Knights was a great game, and I really hope they make a sequel of it sooner rather than later. But make sure to play the Heroic Assault mode that came out today, actually, as the release of this. It came out this morning. It's a 4-player co-op arena mode.
Okay.
Basically,
that's the one we talked about before.
The entire mission is just you trying to
fend off waves,
Star Wars, fend off waves from getting to Starro, because he crash landed on Earth.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It does.
That's a fun little game.
I'm excited.
That's pretty cool. All right, so we've got Is It Canon coming up in here, and I had already spent a significant amount of time finding 10 different Is It Canons.
Wow.
For our Friday
so you're
5th anniversary
episode.
Easy
on us.
So in the process, I found this one. We'll see if it tricks me.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, so again, here's how the segment works for all of you newbies out there. I give a description of something I find on Wikipedia. I hit the random article button, usually 1 or 2 times, sometimes a little longer when you're doing an anniversary episode. And you go and you find a topic, a character, or a ship, or something, a planet, or whatever, that you just, I get to describe it, and then the Sons get to decide whether or not that it's officially canon or if it's Legends.
Yep,
and we'll see what they can do. Are you guys ready for this one?
Ready.
Wool Kabashite.
Okay. Yeah.
Ever heard of it?
Nope. Can't say I have.
No. Okay. Well, Kabashites were a series of species of sedentary, limbless beings that sported a long tongue. And because of their appearance, they were frequently mistaken for pests. At the time of the Galactic Civil War, a wool Kabashite named Gol resided in the palace of Jabba the Silgic Tiur, glued to the walls and arches. I think that's Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, that's Jabba the Hutt.
The mollusk,
that's just his actual name.
Yeah, the mollusk.
He has the last name.
Yeah, exactly.
And the middle.
The mollusk-like being possessed a prehensile tongue as long as his body, which he used to lick courtiers, people coming to the court. He was present when C-3PO and R2-D2 arrived to deliver a message from Luke Skywalker. Canon or legends?
Well, I mean, if he's president in Return of the Jedi, I mean, it has to
It's gonna be canon. I would be my guess, unless
this is like a story outside of it. But
unless it's from like a novel, but like the novelization or did
Return of the Jedi have a novelization?
All of them had novelizations.
But was there from a certain point of view for Return of the Jedi?
Not yet.
Not yet. That'll come out.
That was
in the
they
40th
just
year.
done A New Hope and Empire.
Yeah, because they're waiting for the 40th year. I'm sure they're writing it. Or it's probably being written
right now.
Yeah.
This could be in the Star Wars Visual Dictionary too.
Yeah, are those considered canon?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
I'm gonna say canon. Might as well. I'm probably gonna be wrong, but I'm gonna say canon.
My initial guess was going to be canon, so I'm going to go canon as well. The only thing tripping me up is if it's from the novelization
or an RPG.
Or an RPG.
It's always an
always
RPG.
the RPG.
Always feels like it.
Yeah, I'm going to go canon.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that Gol is a character that they reference in another novel or a comic.
True.
As having been present.
That's true.
At that moment,
like an aftermath.
But that story wasn't part of. Because do you guys remember seeing anything like this in Return of the Jedi?
Maybe in the background,
but I haven't paid attention, so I don't know. We'll find out.
So canon?
I guess so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's actually canon. It's
okay.
Oh my gosh!
Hey,
I was right.
Star Wars Episode 6: Return of the Jedi and the Visual Encyclopedia.
I am so good.
The Star Wars Visual Encyclopedia is a reference book from Dorling Kindersley, authored by Adam Bray, who we've had on the show a couple of times, Cole Horton, and Patricia Barr. And by the way, all three of them, you need to follow them on social media. They're all three amazing. Anyway, the 200-page titled book was released on April 14th, 2017. And Leland Shee. Hey, Leland.
Hey, Leland.
Member of the Lucasfilm Story Group, commented and that, quote, this book may be the closest we'll ever get to doing an actual holocron book.
Hey, I called it canon and what it was.
You're good, Nate.
You said a visual guide, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, we'll go with that.
Okay.
Good job, guys. I tried to fake you out there. I thought I decided, well, do I throw in the Luke Skywalker thing?
He did a
end?
double bluff.
And I wanted to see if I'd throw you off, and I didn't. You guys are strong. Well done. Well done.
We know our Star Wars.
Shmooly, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, well, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special was a nice touch of festive fun into the MCU on top of Hawkeye, I guess. But it also brings up some interesting...
I guess, what?
Well, this is holiday-centric.
No, I'm kidding.
But it also brings up some interesting points regarding Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So let's talk about what might be in store for the next installment.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Yes, as the footsteps of steps and steps.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
We get Cosmo in the holiday version of the Guardians ride.
It's just some music.
Ooh, I hope. Oh, it doesn't change anything.
I don't think it changes the ride itself. I think it just changes.
Maybe they put him outside, or they
just have a dog walking around.
Oh, that would be the coolest thing ever.
You would get a picture with him, right?
I would.
We're going to find out in just a couple weeks.
I would just not ride the ride.
A couple weeks right
I would
from now.
Just go hang with Cosmo?
I'd just go hang with Cosmo.
You do realize that 2 weeks from now we'll be at Disney World.
Let's go.
That's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's first, I want to thank Collider.
For lots of things.
Yes,
like
for
inviting us to IMAX headquarters back 5 years ago, which allowed Turbis to become canon.
But also for writing the article that I basically ripped this entire...
So we are plagiarizing and therefore quoting that. And
so therefore it's no longer
plagiarization.
So we're good.
No penalty.
Huh? Yes. It's, we're doing better in Screen Rant. So first point that's kind of brought up in this special is there's still no Gamora. We last saw her in Endgame, but no sign of her in this or in Love and Thunder, which is the last time we saw the Guardians before this. It seems that Quill's still a bit broken up about it, obviously. Kind of in love with her. Which leads Mantis and Drax to wanting to cheer him up, and that's where the rest of the show kind of takes place. But we know that Zoe Saldana is set to return in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So how do you think Gamora enters back into the story in Volume 3?
We know.
We do.
We know what her role is in Guardians 3.
You take it away.
She's the leader of the Ravagers.
Wait. Was this like an Inside the Magic?
No. This is real. Or this is real from
founding into
San Diego
comics
Comic-Con.
Big freaking robot.
Panel stuff. Gamora is actually the leader of the Ravagers now.
Because the Guardians aren't in with the Ravagers.
They are not. So she becomes the leader of the Ravagers.
Well,
so that's going to be a big point in the next movie of how to deal with that.
Because isn't Yondu's brother or
Yondu's
no, I know who you're talking about. Not the brother, but the shipmate. Kraglin, yeah.
He's not a part of the Ravagers
No,
anymore.
he's not. No, he's part of the Guardians with the Guardians.
He's left to go be part of the Guardians?
Yes.
Okay.
Because cool dude. But yes, I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. She's the leader of the Ravagers now. So that's
how do you
be
think that happens?
Probably just because people know of her strength just from stories of Thanos, and so they just want to follow her because they followed Nebula after like 2 minutes of convincing in Guardians 2. So, and Gamora could be pretty convincing. So, I do wonder how that's going to set up though, and how they're going to tie up her story in this movie because we know this is the last Guardians movie. And so how are they going to figure this out?
James Gunn has some DC to do.
James Gunn now has 10 years of DC to do. So it's going to be...
Yeah, because they've got to
all of them die?
Right. I mean, because not only do they have to wrap up her story well, but if they wanted to be, her to have a thing with, or, get back with Quill at the end of this, they've got to also redo all the work that was done in 2 past movies on this character, because it's the variant that has no memory of any of that. So that would be an interesting challenge.
Well, I think that the bigger challenge is what's going to happen to the Guardians if they're never going to continue the story again, because do they all have to die off now?
We'll find out.
That's because they've got to think about more than just, this is the end of the Guardians movies. This impacts the MCU.
Right.
So that'll be an interesting thing.
It's a good point. Another pretty interesting bit of info that was revealed was Mantis and Quill both have Ego as their dad, so they're siblings, which was this really all that surprising to y'all?
No, I felt like we already knew it in the last movie just because it was just such a kind of obvious statement, because it just genuinely makes sense. So
I don't know how. I don't remember that though. I just remember when it happened in this, I was kind of like, they're acting like we already knew this, so I guess I already knew that. That's the way it was when I watched.
You're just kind of supposed to figure it out, because I feel like we did know it in Guardians 2 though. I'm gonna have to watch Guardians 2 again at some point and figure that out.
I thought I remembered hearing in Guardians 2 that Quill was the only one who survived. Like, remember? Like,
no, it's the only one he didn't kill. Ego didn't kill.
But that was
a lot because he didn't want Quill to know that Mantis was his sister.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he kept Mantis around because she could help him sleep
because
or
of the power. Yeah,
right.
Sleep. Yeah.
Interesting. What impacts do you think that this will have?
Sleep. Sorry.
That was a pretty dead on impression in there. It was good. What impacts do you think this will have on the future?
I just think it'll have more emotional heft and impact in Guardians 3 because it's just gonna be the Suicide Squad, but for Marvel, and even more emotional because so many people are gonna die. I have a feeling because that's just what James Gunn does. Yeah. And so
I think you can keep Mantis alive going forward in the MCU as another character, and her be separate from the Guardians of the Galaxy storyline. But you got to kill off Peter Quill. You got to kill off Drax. You got to kill off Gamora, and you got to kill off Rocket. Otherwise, they can't be around in the MCU. You can't have them out there in the MCU and they're just sort of like, oh, yeah, they're over here doing something else and we're just going to ignore them.
Right. I mean, you can have one or two members continue, maybe like Mantis and maybe Groot. I could see Groot Groot sticking around.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not like it's hard. But here's what I mean by that is that if now that there's the relational connection there, it allows Peter to sacrifice himself for Mantis and have a better reason for it.
Definitely.
So I think that's what we see.
Do you think that they'll need to rehash that's the case in the new new movie? Yeah,
they're going to have to talk about the fact that they're brother and sister to set throughout the whole movie. But I don't think that they bring it into this storyline without it having significance going forward. Because that's the entire special is about that.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
The most touching moments at the end are when Quill finds out about it. So
and he's not mad.
It's like, hello, all of you Guardians of the Galaxies and MCU fans. They're brother and sister.
Yep.
You need to know that going forward.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's good. And we kind of already touched on this, but we got Cosmo.
We did.
Like, for real. We saw him a little bit in the first Guardians, I think. But now we know we actually saw what she can do. It's actually a girl in this version. She's got telepathy and all that. It's great.
Awesome.
But we also know that her voice actor is returning in Volume 3. Nate, you're the resident dog fanatic. What did you think of Cosmo?
I liked it. Honestly, she was great. It was a lot of fun to see her. I'm super excited to see what she will. And she's going to survive as well. Because
are you manifesting this?
I'm manifesting it because if they kill off a dog, I'm going to.
Well, they're probably going to kill off a raccoon.
Well, it's not as bad as a dog. So
it's not?
No.
Oh my!
Dang!
A living, breathing character that we've had a relationship with.
Dog.
It's
and this one's living, breathing too.
Yeah, we've had like 2 minutes of experience with this dog, while we've had like 4 or 5 movies with Rocket.
But no, I thought it was great. She was great. I'm super interested. We saw her first in the first Guardians, and then in the Guardians ride.
Yeah, I do remember them being in like a
case
or something.
So we've been exposed to Cosmo for a little while, and I love the little Russian accent too, because it's a Russian dog that went to space. They shouldn't have a Russian accent, but it works so well.
That's the only way that they learned Russian English,
right? So it can talk.
So it has to have that accent.
And I want to see a crossover with Cosmo and Doug. That would be great.
Doug.
I want to see if they're going to bring Howard the Duck.
I want Cosmo to become Yelena's pet.
That would be great.
That would be so nice.
I want Lucky and Cosmo to meet.
Oh,
that would be great.
And be a part of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
They need to have a dog themed,
well, that's like League of Super Pets.
Yeah, like that, but for Marvel.
What about the fact that they've taken over Nowhere? Do we know that happened?
No.
So that was all new in this. They've got a new ship. The Bowie, the last ship was the Benatar.
Well, that's after David Bowie,
right? And Benatar,
Pat Benatar,
yeah. But they got a new ship,
cool new
which
ship.
It was cool. And they I think it was revealed somewhere that they bought Nowhere. So the Guardians actually own Nowhere at the moment, which makes sense. They've saved the galaxy numerous times now. I hope they have some money. So yeah, that was new. What do y'all think about that? We're seeing a lot more of Nowhere.
That's
here
an awesome home base for them. It's a really cool idea, and it works well for the Guardians. It's been central for them the entire series. So
the Nowhere was the head of a Celestial, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that comes back in any way?
They're going to bring in the Eternals into the Guardians. That would be the weirdest movie I've ever seen.
They already
Not necessarily
have.
But like that extent, Eternals and the Guardians in the same movie?
That would be something.
You can't get two more polar opposite vibes.
Yeah, honestly.
Than those two.
And
movies.
honestly, I think it would work more than the Eternals movie did.
Yeah, the juxtaposition of the two. You got one group that's way too serious.
Right, and Peter would just be like... And even Drax would probably be like, "You guys are taking this too seriously."
Yeah,
but no, I think that would actually be fun. But I love the Nowhere idea as the home base for the Guardians. That works so well for their
and
personality
back
and where
to
it
the
feels
roots
back.
and
yeah, especially in the first movie and all of that.
I just want to stop though and like say to all of you listening right now, if you're a fan of the Eternals movie, and we're sorry, that
we're sorry that you
no, we're sorry that we bash on it as much. It truly is the only MCU movie that we just disliked, disliked,
and we really more poke fun at it now as we say most of this as a joke now. Like,
it's not like we're like on social media every day with a campaign
if you enjoy
to get it removed from the MCU canon or anything.
No, I mean,
because that would be crazy.
Honestly,
fire Kevin Feige, you know. I mean,
are happy that you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
just didn't.
And we do want to see more of the Eternals. We just want them to be done right.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a good point. Another thing was that Groot got
swole.
He looks weird, man.
He's jacked.
It's like him and Kylo Ren were hanging out or something, man. It was like, oh my gosh.
He went through the bodybuilding phase in high school. That's what he's doing right now.
I am Groot.
So the rock punk phase. He's digging all the rock concerts.
Music.
I love it. Groot's always fun. He's different in every single movie he's in, and it's always fun to watch.
Do you think they kill off Groot though?
No, not again.
Groot's easy. You can bring him into other things.
They're gonna kill off Rocket. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
Because the trailer at like San Diego Comic-Con that they released was like, everybody's like, this is Rocket's movie. You can tell.
And they almost even began to set that up in that the I Am Groot shorts.
Yeah.
With the relationship between him and Groot.
In that last short.
Oh my gosh.
That was rough. Come on, man.
Bradley Cooper going to get an Oscar for his portrayal of Rocket the Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm calling it right here. Predictions sure to go wrong.
Can you get an Oscar for voice acting?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't he?
They're gonna change the category for him.
He doesn't do the mocap though, isn't it? The guy who plays Kraglin,
Sean Gunn.
Right? Sean,
yeah.
That's crazy.
He's also Kraglin, which is cool. I'm glad that he's joined the crew.
Yeah. Yes, he's awesome, and now has Yondu's little mohawk.
Well, I think we saw that in the last movie.
Yeah, but he has it now officially. Yeah. So.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special was a ton of fun, and interestingly, the first installment in the MCU with no villain. So if you haven't watched the special yet, give it a try.
There was a villain.
Who?
It was Kevin Bacon.
He wasn't the villain.
He was a good guy.
He was the MacGuffin.
No, he was the villain for a little while.
No,
you don't think so?
No, he was just the plot point.
He was just an unwilling participant.
Imagine that phone call. Hey, Kevin, this is Kevin. I've got a weird idea I want to throw by you.
Right? You're going to be playing yourself.
He said it took barely any convincing.
And he's like, you want me in a Guardians thing? All right, that's cool. That's what
cool.
he said.
I love that. I love that when actors are chill about that.
So now we have, you can just add that to the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game.
Oh,
those
gosh.
people that were in
that opens up a lot, though, because of how interconnected the MCU is. That just made everything so much easier.
Yep.
Anyway, if you haven't watched the special yet, give it a try. Lots of fun. Now we just have to wait until May 5th for the next.
No, we have to
Guardians.
wait for Ant-Man for the trailer, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good. Good segment, both of you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Movie moments?
Yeah, we got a couple trailers. One of them we've been waiting for. Probably should have been the first trailer to come out for that movie, not the last trailer.
Right.
We'll talk about that.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
One release this weekend kind of makes sense after the jam-packed weekend we had last week.
This weekend?
Yeah, this is this weekend. Violent Night.
There's another anime, a Crunchyroll movie that's coming out.
So there's
that'll
only one
probably
movie
win
this
the
weekend.
box office.
For some reason.
That's just not one we have any right to even have a conversation about. It would make no sense.
Violent Night's about when a team of mercenaries breaks into a wealthy family compound on Christmas Eve, taking everyone inside hostage. The team isn't prepared for a surprise combatant. Santa Claus is on the ground. He's about to show you why this Nick is no saint.
That is one of the best descriptions ever.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
It's so good.
The director is Tommy Wirkola. It is rated... the cast, I forgot about that. The cast is David Harbour and John
Leguizamo.
Yeah, he was in the menu.
He
actually.
was. Yep.
Studios Universal and is rated R for strong bloody violence, language throughout, and some sexual references. Going yes or no.
It's one of those like Nobody and Bullet Train that
It's by the
that
same
you want to
people.
go for,
So,
like
yeah.
you want to go to because of that. But then you add in the Santa Claus weirdness in this, and it's just like I really do want to see this.
Yeah,
movie.
right. Like I got to see this movie now because it's just so strange.
It's so out there, but it'll probably work.
Oh, I think it looks
be
great.
great.
The trailers have been
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, I'm excited.
love
It's
it.
gonna be good. But for speaking of trailers, Avatar: The Way of Water got its final trailer only like 2 weeks after releasing its second official trailer.
I haven't even watched either of those yet.
Really?
So.
This the what did you think?
The final trailer is a lot better than any of the other ones we've gotten before.
Why did they lead with that?
That's what I said.
It had plot to
What
it.
they need to do is they need to delay the release a month and let this trailer work.
They're never going to delay
They're
this.
not
I know,
going to.
but
That takes too much money.
They should do.
And it was good. It gave us plot. It just looked better. Looked like it had more weight to it. It wasn't just look at how pretty this movie looks.
There's weird avatars who like water now.
It's pretty.
No,
Go
it makes
see
more
the movie.
sense.
It's pretty.
This trailer makes more sense.
Yeah.
I highly recommend people watch that trailer and then decide whether or not you're going to go see the movie.
Like
Because
this trailer made me be like, okay, I'll go. I'll be excited for this movie.
I do think that they released it late.
Yeah, they did.
They
Definitely.
should have released this trailer a month or 2 months ago and let that
Instead of letting that first trailer be in theaters for like
Way
6
too
months.
That was dumb.
They should have released this trailer with the re-release of Avatar in theaters.
Yes.
That would have been a good idea.
Instead of having 3 different post-credit scenes for people to see at the end.
Right.
The next trailer,
Such a weird campaign.
Babylon.
Anyway.
I don't know.
Did you watch that trailer?
I didn't watch the trailer because the first trailer did
This trailer actually makes the movie an interesting premise.
really.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's just kind of the weirdness of Hollywood in the 20s and 30s.
The director is a good director.
It
of
really
the
looks good.
Both of the movie he's done, I've enjoyed. La La Land and Whiplash. Both of them are great movies that have been nominated
this
for
guy.
Oscars. Like he's won Oscars. It won a Best Picture and then didn't win a Best Picture. That was a strange situation. But I mean, it just the first trailer looks First trailer looks really weird.
I'll tell you, this trailer, it looks like a very interesting movie, and the cast looks phenomenal. The story looks interesting.
The cast is great.
I just don't think that we'll end up seeing this movie because it feels like it's going to be hypersexualized.
Yeah, it does.
And so
Well, it's Hollywood.
it's just not going to be
20s.
something that we watch, but it does look like an interesting story. So
Yeah. For box office results this weekend, Black Panther still not surprisingly making $64 million.
that's only $2 million less than it made the weekend before.
I know, because it's
way.
Thanksgiving.
Because it had 2 extra days.
They released this movie in
At
the
the
perfect
prime
point
spot.
because it stayed afloat the entire weeks it's been going. So 64 million domestic, which makes it 675 million worldwide, which I'm pretty sure is a higher point at this point than Doctor Strange was and Thor: Love and Thunder was at this point. So
Really?
yeah. For Strange World, 18 million domestic, which is fine. And then for
It wasn't great.
It
We'll
could
talk
be
about
better. Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery making 13 million domestic.
Here's the thing. I mean, Strange World, everybody's been talking about it. It's underperformed. It's going to lose $100 million for Disney, and it's not going to be great. And I think there's a lot of different reasons. One is the fact that it's just not been marketed well, and it's not, the story is really not that exciting when you watch the trailers for it. There's a lot of other reasons that could potentially have played into it, but that's the biggest reasons. What I think is really interesting is that Glass Onion brought in just $5 million less than Strange World. Which sounds like Glass Onion didn't perform well in that context. But when you look at the number of theaters for the release, Black Panther is in like 4,600 theaters. Strange World is in over 4,000 theaters. Glass Onion was only in 696 theaters, and it came in 5 million.
It was a
behind.
week limited engagement too.
It ends tomorrow night.
It's insane.
That's incredible.
This might very well be the biggest movie premiere on Netflix.
I think that if Netflix decided to keep it in theaters and go with a wide release, it would do $40-50 million in a weekend.
Probably.
If they released it next week, it would beat Violent Night. And
Absolutely. They could destroy Violent Night in the box office next weekend.
They could very well compete with Avatar right now.
No, I don't think that's.
I don't know about that.
I'm saying
you're in that in between space though, because Black Panther has kind of it's gone through that big push. It's going to drop back this week. There's nothing tremendous coming out this coming weekend in the theaters. If they released Glass Onion in theaters for wide release in several thousand theaters this coming weekend, it would
they already have the file.
It would win the box office.
Oh yeah,
with it. So
it's an interesting
come on
study.
Box office. Well, we need to call up Ryan because we're real close.
So we're going to be in LA tomorrow night or tonight when we're listening to this, right? We're going to be there. We can go find a theater, Ryan, if you want.
Well, just
because we know you listen,
right?
So that you can sit down. We'll watch Glass Onion with you in LA,
and then do a little
and then we can do a little interview afterwards for our 5th anniversary, and that would be amazing.
I love it. I think that's a great idea.
We say crazy crap like that, and then crazy crap like that happens to us. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about that Andor finale. The power of rhetoric has been on full display in this series from the very beginning, and really throughout a lot of the Galactic Civil War era stories. But Marva's last words are honestly just too powerful to simply touch on for a moment and then talk about other things. They really are a haunting example of how art imitates life.
Wokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Just overall, what are your thoughts on the series? Like, if you were to rate, IGN gave this a 9, so for them, this is like Citizen Kane.
Yeah, it's just,
with that, so
the person writing the article was like struggling to type the 9, like shaking.
Yeah, but overall, what would you rate this series? Scale of 1 to 10. Let's go with you, Sam.
I don't know if I could do that sort of rating.
But
I will say it is the best live action series we've gotten so far.
Easily.
Wow. This is
no doubt. Like there's like no question about it. I loved Mandalorian. Kenobi was great, but this told an important and interesting story and allowed us to discuss some very real things that are in real life.
It is. It is different.
And in my opinion, it's the best live action.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give it at least I'm going to say a 9 just because those first few episodes had a little bit of a slow pacing. It was a tiny bit of a rocky start, which I'm not super disappointed by. I thought it was fine, but then it just picked up and we saw what it could have been.
There's a lot of people that gave up in the first 3 episodes.
A 9. Definitely the best live action Star Wars show we've gotten yet. I agree on that. I don't think that anything has come close quite yet. I mean, Mandalorian is great. Kenobi is fantastic. Book of Boba Fett was all right. It was there.
It is stunning to think that this is the consensus right now among Star Wars fans. What? Is that Andor is the best.
That's the consensus?
What do you think? Right? Are you involved in that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm the kind of person that wants to go back and rewatch this because this is so different than anything else in Star Wars. You've got the general assumption is this is the best Star Wars series of all.
I don't know about that.
I mean, Rebels is better.
No, Star Wars series. Live action. Live action. Okay.
I was like,
it's different. I mean, that's different. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is the best live action series around. And so to think about the fact that that's being said and this has no Jedi, no lightsabers, no Force, no Darth Vader, and really no Emperor.
Yeah.
He's brought up in this, but you don't even have Darth Vader mentioned.
No.
In this.
No Inquisitors, nothing.
It's hard for me to say the best live action Star Wars because so many of the elements that make Star Wars are missing from this series. That's fair. It is probably one of the best series I have ever seen.
That's fair.
And I struggle with saying it's the best Star Wars series.
But Star Wars is more than just lightsabers.
It is more than that. But it's like saying
it's always been more.
You know, it's for me going to a really good pizza restaurant and somebody ordering cheesy bread and then trying to tell me that it's pizza. Well, you're missing sauce and toppings. Well, no, but it's amazing. It tastes fantastic and it's got cheese and dough. Well, it's missing something. It's missing the elements that make it pizza. So that's what it feels like.
So you'll agree that it's great and everything, but you'll say that I don't believe this is actually pizza. So you don't believe this is actually Star Wars.
How do you say? No, it's saying this is the best pizza I ever had.
Okay. So
saying that cheesy bread, which is an amazing thing, this is the weirdest conversation. Saying that cheesy bread, which is amazing and delicious and glorious, maybe one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth, is the best pizza I've ever had, would be a mistake. That's what I'm trying to say.
But taking that analogy to its fruition would basically mean that you don't think Andor is Star Wars.
Exactly. If you logically say what you're saying, you don't
genuinely... No, because if I go to the pizzeria and I order pizza and I order the cheesy bread, I'm getting it both there. I'm just not calling it the best pizza I ever had.
A better analogy would be someone really loves cheese pizza. It's the best cheese. They love it. It's the best pizza they've ever had. But in your opinion, for it to be considered good pizza, it has to have ground beef on it. So
no, that's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
You can't take my cheesy bread and then tell me it's pizza when it's not pizza.
But the thing is,
you're saying that this isn't Star Wars
because it is unanimous.
Right.
No, I gotta get this point out. It is
the lightsabers and the Force are the toppings.
It is unanimously agreed from everybody in the world that cheesy bread is not pizza.
Yeah, nobody.
It is unanimously agreed on the posters you have behind you. It says Star Wars Andor. Okay. It's a
every
Star
metaphor,
Wars show.
Every parable, every analogy breaks down at some point. You guys are trying.
Yours broke down like 2 feet after the start line.
So you guys are saying though that. What you're trying to do is you're painting me into a corner saying it's all about Sith or Jedi and Force and lightsabers. No, it also doesn't have the Emperor. It doesn't have Darth Vader.
Okay.
It doesn't have these things. You have the Imperial element is the only piece of this that makes it Star Wars.
But it has the people of Star Wars. It has what makes Star Wars
and it has
Star
the world
Wars.
of Star Wars.
If it wasn't for the Rebels, if it wasn't for this story, we wouldn't have A New Hope.
For me, my Star Wars is
wrong.
Imagine A New Hope without Mon Mothma. Imagine A New Hope without all the X-Wing pilots. I
can totally imagine A New Hope without Mon Mothma. She isn't in it. All right, let's move forward.
But the X-Wing pilots are
no,
so
she's not. She's in Return of the Jedi. All right,
well,
okay. So let's talk a little bit about this. Let's look at Marva's speech because Marva's speech really
was one of the weirdest openings to a segment we've ever had.
Yeah, that was supposed to be chit chat that lasted 30 seconds, and then we moved into our topic, and it took us 7 minutes to argue
about cheese
pizza and Star Wars. That's why you listen to this show. All right, let's talk about Marva's speech with it because it really is powerful, and I don't want to diminish the power of this speech by pizza. So I want to read this and break it down into segments because it feels like there's like a progression in her speech. And it starts off with sort of her acknowledging these are her last words. She starts off by saying, "My name is Marva Karasi Andor. I'm honored to stand before you. I'm honored to be a daughter of Ferrix and honored to be worthy of the stone. Strange, I feel as if I can see it. I was 6, I think, first time I touched a funerary stone. I heard our music, felt our history, holding my sister's hand as we walked all the way from Fountain Square. Where you stand now, I've been more times than I can remember. I always wanted to be lifted. I always wanted eager, always waiting. I was always eager, always waiting to be inspired. I remember it every time it happened, every time the dead lifted me with their truth. And now I'm dead and I yearn to lift you." So it feels to me like Marva is really weighing the importance of this moment as she thinks back on all the other times that she's gathered for this ceremony with her people in the square. Sam, what do you think, or why do you think that last words are so important?
Well, I mean, it's kind of summed up in the name. It's your last words. This is the last chance you'll get to have an impact on the world. I think everybody has an innate desire to make a difference in the world, leave an impact, leave a legacy before they die. And last words are your last chance to do that. And so you have to really be careful about what you choose and what you choose to say. It's always why I don't know if I've ever said this, but I oftentimes think before I leave in the morning, what's the last thing I've said to everybody in case something tragic happens. That's why I always try to make sure I say goodbye or I love you or something, just because I would rather that be the last thing I say than something stupid, because that has an impact. I mean, that's what most people's final memory of you will be, are your last words.
Gosh, I got dark.
Well, welcome to Andor.
Right. I think that last word is important is because they are your legacy. The last things you say will be what people think of you from that point on. That's why Marva understood that. She wanted her last words to be something that will carry people on and her legacy be what this speech and be starting basically the rebellion at this point, starting people to rise up against the Empire. And so that's why last words are so important. They're going to their legacy that you leave.
She continues on and talks about the power of hope. She says, not because I want to shine. She's talking about why she wants to lift them. She says, not because I want to shine or even be remembered. It's because I want you to go on. I want Ferrix to continue. In my waning hours, that's what comforts me most. But I fear for you. Those few sentences are kind of ripe with both harsh truth and hope. Things have gotten so dark on Ferrix, but Marva still believes that things can get better. Nate, why do you think that we need to take a hard look at reality for hope to have power?
Because it's why I love the Batman so much. I've even mentioned this. The movie itself, it's so dark and just real and gritty and everything, and that's what makes that hope shine through so much more, especially at the end. And that's why I think that movie needed to be dark, and that's why I think this show needed to be dark, and that's why I think everything that goes into a dark path has that happen, because that hope shines through so much more because of it. Because when at that end, or at that point when you feel like, gosh, nothing's good at this point, you have that little inkling, little spark of hope at that point, and it just shines so much brighter than it would in a fun, happy Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
That's true.
You would see and you'd be like, oh, that's cute, but in this one you really feel it, and you're like, okay, yeah, there's hope in these dark times that they're going through, and so that's why it is so important to take that look.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the darker a room is, the more impact a small light has. Right. If you're in a pitch black room and you light one candle, that's a huge difference than if you're in a brightly lit room. The candle's not going to do anything. It's the same with this. The worse the situation is, the more a little spark of hope can make a difference. Dark stories have an impact on us. In every case, it's the same with the Bible. I mean, there's usually when it's at the worst is when God comes through in the end.
Yeah, well, you're right. And I think of it sort of like in sickness with people, right? Like a doctor could say, no, everything's going to be good. It's all great. You're going to be fine. But that doesn't really help if somebody's got cancer.
Right.
Right. So you have to be honest. There has to be truth there. And you have to say, you know what? You've got cancer. This is serious. And you're going to have, the treatment's going to suck. And we're going to fight. We're going to have to fight really, really hard. But I think that we can defeat this. That makes more sense than, hey, everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
With it at that point. She continues on and she starts addressing this idea of what I would call willful ignorance and really warning against it. She continues saying, we've been sleeping. We've had each other and Ferrix, our work, our days. We've had each other and they left us alone. We kept the trade lanes open and they left us alone. We took their money and ignored them. We kept their engines churning, and the moment they pulled away, we forgot them because we had each other. We had Ferrix. But we were sleeping. I've been sleeping, and I've been turning away from the truth I wanted not to face. There's a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy. There is a darkness reaching like rust into everything around us. We let it grow, and now it's here. It's here, and it's not visiting anymore. It wants to stay. The Empire is a disease that thrives in darkness. It is never more alive than when we sleep. So Marva, I think she really says here that the thing that so many of us, or maybe not us because we're watching it from a third party view, but like those on Ferrix had sort of wish she hadn't said, right? It's like the story of the Emperor's new clothes. He's going around saying, like, don't you love my new suit? And really he's naked, and everybody's afraid to say something about it. This idea that if we just keep ignoring a problem, the problem isn't real. But Marva has seen what really happens when we ignore evil. Her husband was killed because of it. Cassian is gone because of it. The Empire they had been ignoring has become stronger and stronger and now taken over Ferrix. Sam, why do you think we'd rather pretend that evil isn't around us instead of battling it straight on?
It's like what she said. It's just a lot easier. I mean, it's complacency. It's like, I've got my friends, I got my work, I got my home, I'm good. Like that stuff, it doesn't affect me right now. I don't need to worry about it. Well, eventually it's going to catch up to you and it's going to affect you. And then what are you going to do then? It's always easier to ignore the problem and sweep it under the rug than to face it head on. But it always leaves problems later. It's like procrastinating.
But a little bit bigger.
A little bit more serious.
Right.
But
I think why it's because it's scary to face that evil.
Yeah.
Because the evil itself is already scary, and that's why people don't face it. And because you're already worried about it. But if it's even more terrifying if you go against it, because you know what that evil can do, and you just don't want that to happen to you. So you're like, it's easier to just not deal with it. It's not as terrifying to just sit back and let everything happen. So that's definitely why it's easier.
She kind of ends, and I feel like when her words show her sort of having died with some regret in it. She says, it's easy for the dead to tell you to fight, and maybe it's true. Maybe fighting is useless. Perhaps it's too late. But I'll tell you this, if I could do it again, I'd wake up early and be fighting these, and I won't say the word, because we won't say that on here, from the start, fight the Empire. To me, the saddest reality of Marva's speech is that it really didn't matter that she'd gone on living for a while longer than perhaps she would have had she stood up to the Empire. She's still dead. She's lost her life already with it. But her final words are sort of fraught with this regret. She can't fight the Empire anymore. And so she's calling from the grave to those still living and pleading with them to fight the evil that is destroying them. Nate, is it a bit unfair for Marva to call for the citizens of Ferrix to rise up and fight when in truth she didn't do the same when she was alive?
I don't think so. I think that she was ultimately respected in that community, and people understood who she was, and she was genuine, and she had regret, and you could tell towards the end, she had that regret, and everybody said that they noticed it. Cassian noticed it, everything like that. And I think that it shows the difference between her and Luthen, because Luthen is doing everything to make the world have the chance to fight this empire, and she just didn't do it, but she's still trying to support even after death. It's a contrast that I'm sure that they were smart enough to figure out that was what it's going to be like. But it's I don't think it's unfair for Marva to do that, because I think that she's still trying even after death to get these people that she encouraged over her entire lifetime to still be safe, like what she was wanting the entire time she was alive on Ferrix.
No, I don't think it's unfair. I don't think there was much she could have done at the point when she was alive. I think things were still too, I guess, safe, not charged. By the time this funeral happens, there's just this this tension in the city. It's just like it's wound to snap at any moment. And her the Empire already threatening to not have this funeral for such an important figure in the community, and then constantly
delaying it, shortening it, and
putting all these roadblocks in the way is only going to make the people even more upset.
So they just decided to
so
hold
finally, when
it reminds me of the Aldani end of that.
It does,
that arc where the Empire's talking about, well, we'll let them be pilgrims, but then we're going to restrict them here, we're going to restrict them there, that kind of thing. It's that same mindset.
So her final, call to action, I think, was that little bit of a spark that set off that dry tinder that had just been sitting ready to burst at any moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, we kind of teased it in your segment, but here's let's go with the dad moment.
I am your father.
So I spent a lot of time today really reading through this address, thinking about everything being said, and I can't help but feel that Marva recorded this message with Cassian in mind. It's as if she hadn't heard from him for months and wasn't sure if she ever would again, and she needed to tell someone what she would have said to Cassian. And we know that she does this with Brasso earlier in the episode, where Brasso communicates some things to Cassian, but she just seems desperate in this address to leave a legacy for him. But the tragedy of these words is that she died without being sure that Cassian would ever hear them. And then it makes me think about things that I wonder if my dad had wished he'd said to me before he died 18 years ago. It makes me think of things that I hope I'll have the courage to say to both of you guys going forward. So really, man, this is what this stuff does. It allows you to have these conversations.
It's a great Star Wars show. It's a great cheesy bread.
It's great. But it's not pizza. All right. Andor season 2 is already in production, but we're just going to have to wait until sometime in 2024 before we get to see the conclusion of this story.
Well, we already know his story.
This story.
Yes.
With that. All right, gentlemen, anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, Marvel's Namor rights issue kind of cements his MCU future. They can't really make any solo films with him at the moment because they just rented him from
Universal.
From Universal.
I guess Universal years ago bought the rights to
I guess
eventually Disney's just going to buy Universal.
That's right. They'll be like, oh, so you guys want us to own Universal Studios too? Okay,
got it.
All right,
yeah. James Gunn reveals that the DC Universe will be connected across film and TV.
What do you think?
And
about that? Huh?
Video games. He says there will be a video game connected to the movies and TV shows going forward. Cool. I love it. I'm happy. You could have just left it at James Gunn reveals the DC Universe will be connected. That's enough. That's something.
Hey, anything they do to make it actually feel connected would be nice,
exactly.
Right? Rogue One writers had an idea for a series about rebels hunting down Imperial fugitives. Sort of think like post-Nazi.
I was going to say
World War II.
Gosh, yes, please.
I would love that series.
Give it to me, please.
That'd be a great Star Wars series.
And do that in place of like there was a show that was kind of put on hold because of.
Are you talking about Rogue Squadron?
No.
Rangers of the New Republic? Okay.
Maybe do this instead.
It would be really fun to see Dedra and Cyril and some of these others, like
some Bonnie and Clyde stuff.
No, that would be so weird.
Yeah.
Have you seen the meme where it's got her saying "I love you" and then him saying "I love you" and her saying "I know"?
Yeah.
So, with that, but anyway, no, it would be cool to see them survive the Galactic Civil War and then being hunted by some of these characters in season 2 of this. That would be really cool. Well, that was a weird episode, but it was fun.
Fronts.
Yeah. And please tune in Friday to the live show on Fireside. Check out the link in the show notes for this because honestly, we're gonna have some fun things to talk about. You probably figured it out at the beginning of the show, but we'll.
You were kind of just
laying your cards
down.
Thick.
Yeah, well, I didn't say where we're going. Did I say we were going?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I did talk about a couple things that you can connect the dots
magical.
yourself. All right, they are magical in LA tomorrow night. And by the way, make sure that you don't miss out on Willow on the 30th, which will be Wednesday.
Magical.
It's going to be magical as well. So thank you for listening to Tatooine Sons, a Pop Culture Podcast.
If you had a good time listening, it would be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, the show is only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world, so be sure to like us on Facebook, join the Facebook discussion group, and follow us on Twitter and Hive to get in on all the action and keep up to date with everything we've got going on at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. Don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode or any of the other cool things that are happening. More details to come on Friday night. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever podcast app you prefer. Anything else you gentlemen would like to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.